In the 2 decades since releasing his first feature, American director Wes Anderson has gained a prolific reputation within Hollywood for being one of the most unique filmmakers of his generation. For anyone familiar with his style, a Wes Anderson film is recognizable within the first few frames, and while certainly polarizing, his adept use of mise-en-scène for the purpose of world building undoubtedly imbues his stories with a level of depth and richness that would be unable to achieve had he been staging the same characters in a world the audience would find familiar. When crafting a film, Anderson utilizes all the main elements of mise-en-scène to create a place that often seems as if it has come straight out of a child's storybook. In fact, most of his films open with a narration introducing the story we are about to see as an event that happened in the past.
The year is 1965. We are on the far edge of Black Beacon Sound, famous for the ferocious and well-documented storm which will strike from the east on the 5th of September. In 3 days' time.
A picturesque, elaborate, and once widely celebrated establishment.
This opening narration, which is often paired with title cards and diagrams laying out the space, alert the viewer to pay attention to all of the details of the world, as everything has been meticulously placed in it. Of this unconventional practice, Anderson says, "That's the kind of movie I like to make, where there is an invented reality and the audience is going to go someplace where hopefully they've never been before. The details, that's what the world is made of." The characters in his movies live in a fabricated version of our world, one that borders on the realm of fantasy while still being grounded in the real world and the personal experiences of the director. For Anderson, the overall goal of his process is how we can stage the scenes to bring them more to life in the most interesting way, and then how we can make a world for the story that the audience hasn't quite been in before. To expand on methods used by Anderson to put the viewer firmly inside the world of his stories, let's further examine 2 films, Moonrise Kingdom and The Grand Budapest Hotel. Most of Anderson's work has a trademark style of framing, which consists of frames meticulously constructed so as to make the action nearly perfectly symmetrical. Set pieces are designed such that they often have parallel structure, and Anderson will place his characters in the middle of these pieces, such as with the concierge desk and lobby of the Grand Budapest Hotel and the lighthouse that Susie perches atop in Moonrise Kingdom, as well as the interior of her home. These constructions of shots are unusual, and thus are the first thing that grab the viewer and pull them into the world, making them open to accepting what is about to be built up and explained to them. The second layer of Anderson's world building comes from the mise-en-scène present within these frames, the lighting, props, costumes, and other details that help color in this outline and fully invest the viewer in the action of the characters, even though they are living in a world that does not fully exist within our own. Another important part of mise-en-scène is props, which Anderson uses expertly to the effect of character development and also employs to make the world seem real. From the pastel pastry boxes, lobby boy uniform, and newspaper headlines in the Grand Budapest Hotel, to the pins on the khaki scout uniforms, the fantasy books that Susie keeps in her suitcase, and the letters she and Sam exchange in Moonrise Kingdom, specific items help build up the characters of Anderson's films and solidify the worlds they are in as truly lived-in places. Another important part of Anderson's vision is the distinct color palettes he applies to each of his films, which are present in all of the sets and props to set a tone not just for the story, but the overreaching themes represented by the world he has built. The pastel pinks and purples and deep reds present in the Grand Budapest Hotel are warm and inviting, contrasted with the grays and browns of the surrounding country of Zubrowka. The hotel is a beacon of warmth atop a country shrouded in war, a reminder of the art and class of the past. It is like a living memory of its glory days and the hard work Gustave the concierge put in to make it the most welcoming place in the nation. The colors of the hotel are meant to draw the viewer in and to make them understand why the Grand Budapest was so important to the people that inhabited it. The colors of Moonrise Kingdom include mostly earth tones, the olive green of the scout uniforms, the pale blues of the water and sky surrounding the island of New Penzance, with the pop of pink from Susie's dress and the dusty yellow tint that seems to cover every frame. These colors are supposed to make the audience react to the world, to view it as a worn-in storybook they had had as a child, to evoke intense feelings of nostalgia, to bring about sympathy for Susie and Sam, to hope that their love story can have a happily ever after, even though watching as adults, we are aware that their actions are naive and irresponsible. Color is the last major step in bringing a fictional world to life, and the fact that these palettes can communicate themes of longing for an era of the past is part of what makes Anderson's filmmaking so magical. Through use of vivid introduction, meticulously crafted set pieces, and props, and mesmerizing color palettes, among many other elements, Wes Anderson expertly utilizes mise-en-scène in order to give each of his films a truly fleshed-out world of their own, which gives him the power to mold those worlds into everything he needs it to be in order to tell his story exactly the way he intended, which gives the viewer a unique experience to travel to a storybook-like land that they have never seen before, but hopefully one that they will never want to leave.
C'est le temps de l'amour, le temps des copains et de l'aventure.